Have you ever noticed that there are a lot of health gurus out there talking about disconnecting, but very few talking about reconnecting? And no, I'm not talking about reconnecting to Facebook, TikTok, Insta, or even the tube. I'm talking about reconnecting to one of the OG forms of entertainment. This big, beautiful, floating rock, which we somehow live on, yet spend the majority of our 24-hour day disconnected from. Literally. Yo, yo, yo! What is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftandbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and longevity and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic manner. Today, we are talking about reconnecting to the third rock from the sun and reconnecting to a little experiment I planned last year, but ultimately forgot to do. We are going to retouch on why this practice, coined grounding or earthing, is advantageous for your biological business, and explore how adding an additional 8 hours of it to my daily routine impacted my subjective feel and some objective data courtesy of the Aura Ring. And at this point, you may be asking, hey Kev, what the hell is grounding and why do we even want to do it? To which I'll say, valid point. So in the next 13 minutes and 24 seconds, we'll break down that very question, dive into my grounding hack, look at the data, and then talk about some ways that you could get more grounded in your everyday life. Oh, and before we go, one rule. Shoes off. You'll get it by the end of this. Promise. First, what the hell is grounding? Ever since we covered this topic a few months ago, this practice has been top of mind for me in my longevity routine. And for reference, I will link that full research review and deep dive up here and down below. You know, if you really want to get into the weeds. Get it? Weeds outside. I didn't get to that part yet. Okay. At a high level, grounding or earthing is any activity that electrically reconnects one to the earth. And in its most typical cases, it involves direct contact with Mother Earth and provides its benefits by neutralizing our body's electrical charge, normalizing and supporting cells and organ systems in one of the most natural, biologically innate ways possible. And now you may be thinking, okay, that's pretty cool, but why does it matter? I'm loving the setups you're giving me right now. Here is why. We humans are essentially big electrical circuits, with a lot of cellular communications being facilitated by an ongoing transfer of electrical charges. While the Earth, this big floating rock, bobbing and weaving through this ever-expanding universe, possesses an essentially limitless and continuously renewed supply of free electrons, with its surface being electrically conductive with a negative potential. I mean, it's almost like these two forces were meant for each other, no? Now, here's where it gets cool. Evidence continues to mount that the Earth's negative potential can stabilize us humans' internal bioelectrical environment, supporting the optimal function for all of our bodily systems. That is, when we're connected. And guess what we humans have been doing for the last few centuries or so? Roaming around in our rubber soles and cell phones, asking Mother Earth if she can hear us now. Well, I'll answer that for you. She can't. Think about it. For the majority of human history, we walked around either barefoot or using some type of animal skin as footwear. We slept on the ground or close to it, constantly connected to the Earth and its abundant source of free electrons, entering and neutralizing our electrically conductive body at all hours of the day. This allowed every single part of the body to equilibrate with the electrical potential of the Earth, thereby stabilizing the electrical environment of our cells, tissue, and organs. But when we fast forward to present day, things have changed, to say the least. Modern living and lifestyle have increasingly separated us humans from the primordial flow of the Earth's electrons. We are continuously and many times unknowingly insulating ourselves from the Earth, blocking this connection everywhere from the modern home and office to walking around in molded rubber soles basically everywhere we go. The facts of the matter are the modern human in this modern world spend the majority of their day disconnected from the Earth. And this disconnected lifestyle is thought to be a compounding factor in the rise of chronic disease, which has coincidentally swept the Western world by storm in the same time frame. Funny, huh? Again, we go into the nitty-gritty on how this can accelerate longevity liability numero uno, chronic inflammation, and accelerate disease across the board in the aforementioned video. So I suggest you check it out if you want to get into the molecular mechanisms at play. But what you ultimately want to know, and what intrigued me the first time I did a deep dive into this topic, is that emerging evidence has shown that connecting with the Earth is a simple, natural, yet profoundly effective strategy to treat conditions such as chronic stress, nervous system dysfunction, chronic pain, poor sleep, disrupted heart rate variability, poor blood flow, and guess who? Chronic inflammation. And all this makes grounding one of the simplest therapies on the planet. If only we could find a way to maximize our time doing it with ease. What? We have a way? The hack? The second part of the video. Yeah. My grounding hack. What if I told you that there was a way to add 7 to 8 hours of daily grounding to your routine without any effort at all? And what if this grounding took place during the most restorative, rejuvenating, and regenerating part of your 24-hour day? The part that is so important to health and longevity that it has its very own playlist on this channel here. Here's the simple change I made to dramatically increase my daily grounding time by over 100%. By now, you probably get the hint and know where I'm going, but essentially I got some new bedwear, specifically a grounding sheet, or a thin sheet that straps onto my bed that plugs into the ground of a local outlet. A sheet, because I know you're asking, that has a safety circuit break feature just in case, to prevent any problems from things like lightning. Safety first. This sheet ideally sits in between your mattress and your main bed sheet and essentially reconnects you electrically to the earth while you're sleeping. I personally use one from a company called Ultimate Longevity, which I will link below, and I have no affiliation to. Just a product that I found in my journey that seems to be a leader in the space. Now, here's the kicker, at least for me. My first impression of the first few nights felt like I was sleeping on a literal plastic sheet, which made every roll and reposition a little bit cringeworthy. And although I probably could have gotten used to it, I found a good compromise instead by folding it so it only covers the bottom third of my bed. This leaves my feet and calves connected all night while my upper body can enjoy a repositioning in peace, and essentially making the intervention doable and sustainable for me, which is the goal of any health and longevity routine, right? And since I can't help thinking about it, I do truly wonder how much, if any, does grounding throughout the night compound the magical properties of sleep? And although I'd need some pretty elaborate tools to truly answer that one from the comfort of my own bedroom, we do have some data that may provide some hints into determining if it does anything. For me, that is. So, let's take a gander. The data. Okay, so the experiment that I wanted to do last year was essentially use the sheet for 4 to 6 weeks, then take it off for a 2-week washout period, and then re-add it to see in a N-of-1 fashion if it was altering 1, my subjective feel, and 2, objective rest and recovery metrics such as resting heart rate, low resting heart rate variability, and deep sleep quality as told by the Oura Ring. The problem though ended up being, I kind of forgot. However, it ended up kind of working out better, which brings us to this analysis. See, I initially started using the sheet in June of 2021. And after the initial first few weeks, I definitely subjectively felt that I was waking up a little more rested, alert, and refreshed. I also noticed some nagging knee and shoulder pain alleviated. But as we know, that could very well be the placebo effect in action. And when I go back and look at the data from that time, because I have 3 solid years of sleep tracking data on the Oura Ring, I do see a nice bump in heart rate variability and deep sleep time, which is good, as well as a downtick in low resting heart rate and resting heart rate, which is also good. And if you really want to know why these metrics moving in these directions are good, we break down the importance of these key sleep metrics in this sleep tracking video here. Now, I gotta say, this change seemed to be the most pronounced in the first 2 to 4 weeks the sheet was put on. And then it seemed to stabilize through the rest of the year, on some very good baselines, might I add, but I would primarily attribute that to good sleep hygiene. Now, here's where the experiment naturally gets interesting. Around January, February 2022, during a routine sheet change, see, guys change their sheets too, the grounding sheet got folded up and put on the dresser, and well, kind of forgotten about, until about a month ago when I realized and put it back on. This opened up the perfect opportunity to finish the experiment. So, what happened? Well, although key metrics were solid from the February to June timeframe, heart rate variability began to creep down and low resting heart rate began to creep up, signifying that although sleep was pretty damn good, it was deviating a little bit from my baseline in a bad way. Interestingly, this saw an abrupt about face, correlating with the time frame that the nighttime grounding commenced again, with average resting heart rate, low resting heart rate variability, and deep sleep time all seeing significant improvements from baseline. Another really interesting thing that I noticed was the ratio between deep sleep and light sleep. Deep sleep time was gaining some meaningful ground, while light sleep time was dissipating, which are good directions to move in. And my overall subjective feel has been noticeably positive, waking up with a perceived extra pep in my step, and those nagging aches and pains once again subdued. Now, although this is all very interesting, let me remind you that association does not in fact mean causation. And this personal data is just what it sounds like, personal data. And it definitely brings about a number of questions, such as, since it's N of 1 data, sample size equals 1, what are some of the key limitations in data and analysis? Long answer short, a lot. How much of a placebo effect was going on? Is the time of year impacting the data, as both legs of the intervention started in June? Was there a change in diet, exercise, schedule, stress, sunlight, or outdoor time that I'm not accounting for? And how would I be able to tease all this stuff out and control better? These are just a few of the open questions that make me want to structure this just a little, but really a lot, better to see if we can get some more clarity. Nonetheless, I thought it was interesting enough to share with the Longevity fam and shed some light on this aspect of innate biological wiring that we have lost connection with literally over the past few hundred years. So with that, what other ways can you get a little more grounded in your everyday life? Getting grounded. The good news here is it's pretty simple. Step 1, take off your shoes. Step 2, touch Mother Earth. Step 3, stay a while. The best and most effective way to ground yourself is to get a little one-on-one time with the ground. Go outside, make lunch a picnic, go for a walk on the beach or outside right after, but not during, a thunderstorm. The crashing of waves at the beach and post-thunderstorm walks are prime grounding times, where free electrons are even more abundant. You can also, as we saw today, get some grounding tech in your home. Bed sheets, pillows, blankets. There are also several options for grounding therapy mats on the market. I use an infrared heating mat from Healthy Line. Even salt lamps can be a potential useful addition, as they emit negative ions and are also a great non-circadian disrupting light to use at night. And if you're looking to ground and still stay protected, there are a few different makes and models of grounding sandals and shoes, which help mitigate our rubber sole dilemma. My current go-to brand is Earth Runners. And when it comes down to it, anytime you can is a good time to reconnect. Something as simple as 30 to 40 minutes a day has shown to be effective. But the more the better. That's why I love this hack. Adding nearly 8 hours of grounding to my 24-hour day, all while sleeping. Interventions like these are some of my personal favorites. Rediscovering what we've lost sight of in recent history and redeploying it in the modern world to bring out the very best of our biological wiring. In this case, rediscovering the Earth, or at least our connection to it. The best thing being, you're playing with biological house money. This is an intervention, a habit, a longevity strategy that you can implement with essentially no downside. And it doesn't cost a dime, and possibly not even time. Oh, and if you need a little extra help implementing your habit, you can join the longevity challenges in Patreon, where we as a team implement sustainable longevity-focused change week by week, habit by habit, focusing on getting healthy from the inside out. All the links for that will be in the description below. Listen, truth be told, a lot of times the most impactful biohacks have nothing to do with technology, modern medicine, and expensive therapies. They just rechannel something that we used to do, evolved with, and forgot about. So next time, when in doubt, don't be a shoebie.